The National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, which represent over 140,000 super exploited workers in most strategic layer of the economy, the metal and engineering sector, is on the verge of a full-blown strike in the sector. The wage negotiations were held against a backdrop of a souring crisis at the main center of global capitalism and imperialism, the United States and Europe, where there is massive shrinking in the manufacturing sector and a shift into insecure services, especially finance, retail, security, and knowledge production, tertiary sectors. In our own South African context, negotiation took place amidst the spread of corruption by politicians and state capture, whilst our people, especially the working class and the poor, are confronted with the crisis of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. As a result of the ANC insistence on implementing neoliberal economic policies, we're also experiencing the impact of having our credit rating downgraded to junk status and the negative impact this has had on the growth outlook of the economy. Numsa is dismayed by the level of serious political stagnation between the two capitalist factions, one led by Cyril Ramaphosa defending white monopoly capital, with SSCP and COSATU on one side, and Zuma and the Guptas on the other. They are busy with flimsy, confused debate about obvious nature and the character of South African capitalism, which is owned and controlled by white monopoly capital, instead of addressing the real issues of how to restructure and turn around the South African economy to address the current national crisis of an economy that has been downgraded to junk status and that is technically in recession. Numsa calls for the immediate following measures by the government. If great problems deliver great solutions, the South African government needs to move swiftly and restructure the South African economy, nationalize its minerals and all commanding heights of the economy and place them under worker control. Ensure that our minerals are beneficiated, diversify and champion a job-led industrial strategy. The current economic crisis dictates that government should increase tariffs to protect our manufacturing capacity and designate all products that we have capacity to produce and manufacture locally and make it compulsory that all government department and private sector procure locally and that all economically depressed sectors and companies should be subsidized in the form of incentive. To uproot corruption and cronyism in the state-owned enterprises, the South African government should reconstitute all the boards of SOEs, and reconstitution should be made up of labor, business, government, and civil society. Which Numsa acknowledges the current public protector recommendation about broadening the mandate of the South African Reserve Bank is not necessarily her competence. We remain firm that the Reserve Bank should have been nationalized long time ago and that its failed hot pursuit of inflation targeting should have been stopped. Instead, the Reserve Bank should target jobs, and its mandate can't just be about protecting the value of white wealth, which remains completely untransformed. It should also cut high interest rates that are militating against manufacturing and industrialization. The South African government, including Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba, should stop being prisoners of World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the IMF, and rating agencies, and fully implement the Freedom Charter. They must address the land question and stop playing with concept and get serious about radical economic transformation. They need to take firm measures to affirm black African majority who are economically marginalized and dispossessed in the economy. It is this context that Numsa rejects Gigaba's attempt to appease rating agencies by championing a now open and now hidden privatization of SOEs under the disguise of non-core asset. Numsa calls on the South African public that we should reject privatization in whatever form it has been disguised. Numsa has noted that the National Treasurer statements since their cash injection to SAA that there is a subtle agenda to prepare the public for privatization of SAA, This takes place against the backdrop of serious allegation that has been made by our sister union. They want to reduce the current 4-week leave entitlement for workers who have worked for a company for 4 years or more to 3 weeks. They want to pay out bonuses based on the actual shift worked. Workers who do not work all their shifts due to authorized leave, e.g. sick on maternity leave, will forfeit their bonus. We deadlocked with employers on the 15th of June because the proposal they put on the table would result in a downward variation in the working conditions of our members. Simply put, employers' proposal on the table which would worsen the living and working condition of our members. We declare a dispute purely because we strongly believe that we have exhausted all possible avenues for employers to concede to our demand. As mandated by our members, after 4 dispute meetings, we still could not agree. It is quite evident that employers are imposing a strike on us. Employers have forced us into this undesirable position because of the absurd offer which they have placed on the table. As Numsa, the strike was never our agenda, purely because our core demands are affordable. The major point of disagreement is the fact that employers want to slash the minimum entry rate by half by imposing a poverty wage of 20 Rand per hour onto our members, which is the half minimum rate of engineering sector. Our members fought hard to increase the minimum rate to where it is. All along, employers have claimed that Africans are not educated or skilled enough to justify higher income. Now that young workers are educated, they want to exploit the next generation of workers with poverty wages of 20 Rand per hour. Numsa calls on our members, both old and young in the industry, to unite and be ready to declare a sustained war to defend their gains, to improve their wages, and to secure the future of the next generation of workers. Employers are emboldened by the ANC plans to impose a national minimum wage of 20 Rand per hour next year. This is precisely why Numsa rejected the national minimum wage. We knew it would cause chaos in the engineering sector by introducing and legalizing slave wages. If we agree to this ridiculous proposal placed on the table by employers, it will mean we must agree to violate the principle of equal pay for work of equal value, where some workers earn more for doing the same work. Furthermore, it will result in older workers being retrenched and being replaced with a cheaper labor force. Numsa is resolved to embark on a rolling mobilization of our members to make them ready for any eventuality. As we mobilize our members, we will dedicate time to engage employers further, demanding that they must move from the current position and make an offer that can settle this round of negotiation. Once we have satisfied ourselves that we have done everything, we might be left with no option but to issue 48-hour notice for a legal protected strike. In the event the strike takes place, the following key sectors will be heavily affected. For example, foundries, electronics, telecommunications, plastic, fabrication industries, machinery and equipment, automotive component sector, electrical engineering, basic metals, heavy and light engineering, gate and fence, construction engineering companies will all be affected. The major companies which will be affected include Auto, Industrial, Bell Equipment, CBI, Union Carriage and Wagon, Dobail, Mali Pipe Systems, and Dana Spicer Excels, among others. Some of these companies supply critical parts to the auto industry and could have disastrous impact on their already strained supply obligation. If the strike commences, ongoing work at Medupi, Kusile, and Inguha will be delayed. Employers in the metal engineering industry will have to take full responsibility for repercussions that the strike will have on the economy as a result of their intransigence. We're calling on every concerned stakeholder to knock sense to intransigent group of employers that have been frustrating the process of negotiations, or else we will shut down the entire economy on a scale which this country has never seen before. Obviously, with the current state of the economy, the consequences of such a contemplated action will deepen the economic crisis. The ball is in the employer's court.